The stars of the galaxy had always seemed distant, cold, and unchanging. To humans, they were symbols of hope, of curiosity, of challenges to be met and overcome. For centuries, humanity had watched the alien civilizations govern space with rules, treaties, and complex hierarchies. Humans had always been cautious, learning the ways of the galaxy slowly, carefully, trying not to provoke the established powers. But now, Earth was ready to step forward, and the galaxy was about to see just how unpredictable humanity could be. Ambassador Kane stood on the observation deck of the Earth Starliner Resolute, looking at the vast expanse before him. He had spent decades preparing for this mission, decades of study, diplomacy, and training. Kane was not just a diplomat. He was a soldier, a strategist, and a man who understood both human and alien psychology. Today, he carried the hopes and pride of all humanity. He was to negotiate a treaty with the Galactic Council, a powerful coalition of alien species that controlled trade, planets, and disputes across hundreds of star systems. The mission seemed simple on paper. Earth had discovered valuable minerals on the edge of the Orion sector, and these minerals lay within a disputed system, controlled by the Council. Human leaders wanted the right to mine them, peacefully and fairly, while respecting the Council's laws. Kane's role was to present Earth's case with dignity, intelligence, and respect. But the galaxy did not think in terms of fairness. Kane had barely begun his opening statements when trouble erupted. A faction within the Council, led by the crystalline Varelians, accused humanity of espionage. They claimed that humans had already infiltrated several Council systems, stealing technology and secrets. The accusation was false. Humanity had only conducted careful research, but the Council's rules were strict. Words alone were not enough. They demanded action. Kane remained calm. He spoke with precision, appealing to logic and reason. "We come as partners, not as intruders," he said. "Humanity seeks growth, yes, but not conflict. Our goal is cooperation, not conquest." The Council chambers, vast and alien in design, were silent for a moment. The councilors' faces, some organic, some crystalline, others impossible to describe in human terms, betrayed nothing. Then the unthinkable happened. Without trial, without warning, the Varelians invoked the Council's ultimate sanction. Kane was executed, a public demonstration of power meant to intimidate humanity and every other species watching. The news did not take long to reach Earth. Holoscreens flickered to life in homes, schools, and government centers. Citizens of Earth watched in disbelief and horror. Kane had represented all of humanity, and now he was gone. Outrage swept across every nation, uniting humans in grief and fury. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity, not in terms of technology, but in terms of spirit. At the United Earth Command headquarters, leaders convened immediately. The room was tense, filled with the highest minds in military strategy, diplomacy, and science. President Rael spoke with a voice both firm and measured. "The Council has crossed a line," he said. "They have executed our envoy, and they believe we will accept it. They are wrong." Scientists and engineers were already working on contingency plans. Humanity had always been careful, always prepared. Earth's fleets were not the largest in the galaxy, but they were clever, adaptive, and driven by determination. Within hours, the Annihilation Protocol, a secret contingency plan designed for extreme situations, was activated. It was a last resort measure, a demonstration that humans would fight if their survival or honor were threatened. But activating the protocol was not just about weapons. It was a signal to the galaxy. Humans were not weak, and they could not be intimidated. Humanity was unpredictable, capable of creativity, courage, and strategy that no alien race had fully understood. Meanwhile, Kane's colleagues, other ambassadors and diplomats, were detained by the Council. Some feared for their lives. Others tried to negotiate, pleading for mercy and fairness. The Council ignored them. This act of brutality shocked the galaxy. Rumors spread among alien systems. Earth might be small, but humans were unyielding. Back on Earth, ordinary people reacted in ways the Council could not have imagined. In cities across the planet, citizens held vigils, not just for Cain but for all humans. Schools paused classes. Families gathered to discuss what it meant to be human in a galaxy that viewed them as minor players. Social media and communications networks buzzed with a single, shared sentiment: humanity would not be humiliated. At the same time, the UEC United Earth Command began mobilizing its forces. Space stations were readied, ships were launched into orbit, and scientists worked around the clock to upgrade defense systems. Humanity's fleets were not massive compared to the Council, but they were innovative, adaptable, and fearless. Engineers developed new cloaking technologies, weapons with unexpected properties, and defensive systems that relied on both human ingenuity and AI assistance. Every solution was designed with one thought in mind: humanity would survive, and humanity would fight. Cain's death also inspired a wave of unity among humans. Rival nations set aside old disputes to focus on the common threat. Humanity had always been divided in many ways, but the execution of their envoy created a singular purpose: ensure the survival and dignity of Earth. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, and ordinary citizens worked together, each contributing their skills to prepare for the coming crisis. In orbit above Earth, the Starliner Resolute's sister ships were refitted for defense and reconnaissance. Cloaked observation drones were sent to monitor Council activity. Humans learned quickly, adapting Council tactics and turning them into advantages. Where the Council relied on overwhelming numbers, humans relied on ingenuity and unpredictability. On Earth's surface, the people spoke of Cain not just as an ambassador, but as a symbol. Statues were erected in memory of his courage. Children learned his story in schools. Every human knew that Cain's death was a reminder that the galaxy did not yet understand the full extent of human potential. Within days, Earth had prepared a declaration. It was not just a threat, but a statement of identity. Humanity would not bow to intimidation. The declaration was broadcast across the galaxy. The death of Ambassador Cain has ended an era of passive diplomacy. Humanity will defend its honor, its people, and its future. The Annihilation Protocol is active. Any act of aggression against Earth or its colonies will be met with full and calculated retaliation. Humanity will not be ignored, and humanity will not be defeated. The message shocked the Council. For the first time, they faced a species that did not flinch, did not negotiate under duress, and did not yield to intimidation. Humans were clever, determined, and willing to fight for their principles. They were unpredictable, a trait no Council species had fully appreciated. In secret, Earth's scientists worked on advanced technologies, including quantum shockwave generators, adaptive AI fleets, and orbital defense grids. Soldiers trained relentlessly, preparing for the possibility that the galaxy might strike first. But humanity's strength was not only in technology or strategy, it was in courage, resilience, and unity. As the Council debated how to respond, reports came in from humans already stationed near disputed systems. They had begun observing Council fleets and studying their tactics. The humans were learning fast, using observation to anticipate moves and plan counteractions. Every day, humanity became stronger, more confident, and more capable. Cain's memory served as a guiding light. His speeches, his bravery, and his belief in human potential inspired every plan, every strategy, and every act of preparation. Humanity's story was no longer just about survival. It was about proving to the galaxy that humans were worthy of respect, recognition, and fear if necessary. The first part of this story ends with a view from the UEC Command Center. Scientists and military officers huddled around holo displays, showing fleet movements, strategic calculations, and experimental weapon tests. The message was clear. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, but that would not happen again. Above the planet, in orbit, fleets were ready. On Earth, the people waited with hope and determination. Humanity had been pushed to the edge, but it would respond with courage, intelligence, and unity. Kane's death had sparked not just anger, but the beginning of a human awakening in the galaxy. The stars no longer seemed distant and cold. They were a challenge, a battlefield, and a promise. Humanity was ready to meet it. Part 2. The Galactic Clash. The galaxy had never seen humanity like this before. The execution of Ambassador Kane had ignited a fire that no alien species could easily extinguish. Earth was no longer a quiet observer in the cosmic order. It had become a strategic force, unpredictable and fearless. From the orbit of Earth, the United Earth Command, UEC, monitored every movement of the Galactic Council fleets. Cloaked reconnaissance ships, equipped with advanced stealth technology, glided silently past the edges of contested systems. Human scientists and engineers had worked day and night, designing adaptive AI navigation systems that could anticipate enemy maneuvers faster than the Council's largest computers. Human commanders studied the Council's formations carefully. The aliens relied on numbers and brute force. Their fleets were massive, but slow to adapt. Humans were fewer in number, but they were fast, flexible, and clever. They could strike where the Council did not expect, and they could retreat without losing cohesion. Every plan Kane had left behind guided these strategies, emphasizing ingenuity over raw power. On the surface of Earth, ordinary citizens contributed in their own ways. Factories and laboratories churned out equipment for troops and fleets. Engineers built specialized drones that could repair ships in orbit. Students designed simulations to predict enemy tactics. Even children, in schools and homes, followed the news with fascination and pride. Understanding that humanity's future in the stars was being forged by courage and intelligence. The first major operation was planned near Valor 3, a binary star system at the edge of Council-controlled space. Its gravity wells created natural obstacles, perfect for tactical maneuvers. Human commanders decided to use the system as a trap. Decoy fleets would lure the Council's flagship into a vulnerable position, while hidden Earth ships waited in ambush. It was risky, but risk was a human strength. Commander Lin, a seasoned human fleet officer, addressed her team before departure. "We are not the strongest," she said, "but we are clever. The Council has underestimated us, and that is their greatest mistake. Stay calm, trust your training, and remember Kane's example. Humanity does not surrender." Her words echoed through the command center, reinforcing the determination that had spread across Earth. The ambush began with precise timing. Cloaked ships moved silently along gravitational edges, avoiding detection. Decoy fleets broadcast false signals, imitating the movements of a retreating human force. The Council fell for the ruse. Their flagship, a massive crystalline warship, pursued the decoys, confident in their superiority. Then, the hidden fleet struck. Using gravity wells and asteroid debris, humans created natural shields and hazards that disrupted the Council's formation. Ships fired precision energy blasts, disabling key systems without destroying entire vessels. It was not chaos, it was controlled brilliance, the mark of human ingenuity. The Council's forces struggled to respond. Their numbers were overwhelming, yet they could not adapt quickly to the unexpected tactics. Humans exploited every weakness, maneuvering through narrow gaps and using speed where the Council relied on slow precision. Every victory came at a cost, but each cost was a lesson. Each maneuver improving the fleet's efficiency. Meanwhile, on Earth, scientists unveiled quantum shockwave generators, weapons capable of temporarily disabling ships without destruction. These generators created localized fields that interfered with energy shields and communication systems. When deployed during the Valor 3 battle, several Council ships were rendered immobile, forcing their retreat. Humanity had not only fought bravely, they had innovated, proving that creativity could rival brute force. Alien observers in nearby systems began to report the unusual tactics. Rumors spread quickly among the Council factions. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and fearless. Some alien leaders admired these qualities in secret, while others grew uneasy. Could a species so young in galactic terms truly challenge centuries of established power? The answer was becoming clear. Yes, the Council, frustrated and divided, attempted a counter-strategy. They sent elite assault teams to disrupt human supply lines and communications. Yet humans anticipated these moves. Stealth ships, guided by AI and human intuition, intercepted the attackers before they could strike. The humans were learning faster than the Council could anticipate. Every action by the aliens was met with a calculated, effective counter. Even diplomacy played a role. Humans secretly contacted alien species dissatisfied with Council rule. Small coalitions of traders, scientists, and planetary leaders began providing intelligence and support. Humanity's reputation grew not as a threat for conquest, but as a force of cleverness and courage that demanded respect. The galaxy was beginning to see humans not just as weak newcomers but as equal players in cosmic affairs. The turning point came during the second major encounter near the gas giant Zareth Prime. The Council's fleet attempted to encircle Earth's reconnaissance network, hoping to cut off information flow. Humans responded with a complex diversion. Smaller fleets feigned retreat, while the main force approached from unexpected vectors, using gravitational anomalies to mask their presence. Council ships, unable to anticipate the angles of attack, suffered confusion and miscommunication. Human ingenuity shone in moments of improvisation. When a Council flagship attempted a sudden jump through hyperspace to escape, human engineers had already devised a temporal interference array that delayed the jump just long enough for the fleet to strike. The Council's largest vessel was damaged, forcing a temporary retreat. Human morale soared. Victory was not just survival, it was proof that humanity could outthink the galaxy's established powers. Back on Earth, citizens celebrated cautiously. The news broadcasts emphasized strategy, intelligence, and courage rather than destruction. Humanity's identity was not defined by violence but by resilience and innovation. Every victory reinforced the lesson that humans were clever and united. As the conflict continued, the Council grew increasingly wary. Their internal divisions, once hidden, now became apparent. Some species admired humans' cleverness and began quietly offering support. Others feared that human unpredictability might destabilize the entire galactic order. Humanity's reputation spread, fueled by stories of daring maneuvers, clever strategies, and unbreakable determination. Commander Lin prepared her team for a risky operation. They would intercept Council supply lines near the asteroid belt of Draxon 5, using stealth drones and adaptive AI to disable enemy logistics. The plan required precision and trust. Human fleets were still outnumbered, and mistakes could be fatal. Yet the team executed flawlessly. Drones infiltrated Council convoys, disrupting fuel and repair supplies without casualties. Humanity was winning battles not by sheer firepower, but by thinking differently and acting decisively. At the same time, Earth's scientists unveiled new defensive technologies for colonies in outer space. Orbital defense grids, powered by AI coordination, could protect entire planets from orbital bombardment. The message to the galaxy was clear. Earth was prepared, humans were united, and their strength was more than just weapons. It was strategy, technology, and the will to survive. The climax of Part 2 occurred near Valor 3's outer rim, where the Council attempted a final show of force to crush human operations. Their flagship, repaired and reinforced, led a massive fleet in an attempt to encircle the human force. Humanity's response was bold. They used a combination of cloaked ambush ships, gravitational traps, and coordinated quantum shockwave attacks. The Council fleet suffered confusion and heavy losses. Humans, though outnumbered, forced the Council to retreat once more. The result was not total destruction, but it was symbolic. Humanity had turned the tide. They had proven that brains, courage, and unity could overcome even overwhelming numbers. Reports from allied alien species praised humans for their cleverness and valor. Humanity was no longer underestimated, it was respected, and in some quarters, even feared. Commander Lin addressed her fleet after the battle. "We have shown that we can fight, adapt, and win. But remember, Our strength is not only in combat, it is in our courage, our creativity, and our unity. Cain believed in us. We must honor him by being worthy of that belief. The galaxy is watching, and humanity will not disappoint. The part ends with a view from orbit above Earth. Fleets rested and refitted, but their minds were focused on the galaxy beyond. Human ingenuity had turned the impossible into reality. Ordinary citizens, soldiers, and scientists alike understood that this was just the beginning. Humanity had made its first mark on the galaxy not through terror, but through cleverness, courage, and a refusal to be ignored. The stars above no longer seemed distant or untouchable. They were challenges, opportunities, and reminders of what humans could achieve when united by purpose. The galaxy had learned its first lesson. Never underestimate humanity. The galaxy had changed. The once unquestioned authority of the Galactic Council now wavered in the face of human ingenuity and courage. Humanity had survived the Council's greatest threats, and had demonstrated a power that was not just in weapons, but in cleverness, adaptability, and unshakable unity. Earth's fleets, rebuilt and improved after each battle, now patrolled the edges of Council-controlled space with confidence. Cloaked reconnaissance ships moved like shadows, gathering intelligence and reporting on Council fleet movements. Every encounter, every maneuver, strengthened humanity's understanding of alien tactics. Where other species relied on repetition and sheer force, humans relied on strategy, quick thinking, and courage. On Earth, citizens continued their tireless support. Factories produced advanced drones, AI fleets were upgraded, and engineers worked on new defensive systems. Schools taught children about human ingenuity and the importance of unity. Ordinary humans contributed in countless small ways, programming simulations, refining communication networks, and helping scientists in laboratories. Humanity's strength had always been its people, and now that strength had reached a level no alien species had anticipated. The Galactic Council was aware that their traditional methods no longer worked. Some members quietly advocated negotiation, realizing that continuing to fight humanity might fracture their coalition. Others feared the unpredictability and resilience humans had shown. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's potential, and now it had to pay attention. The decisive moment came near the Tessarian expanse, a dense field of asteroid belts and gravitational anomalies. The Council gathered their largest fleet in an attempt to overwhelm human forces and crush Earth's growing influence. The fleet was massive, thousands of ships, each more advanced than any humans had previously encountered. Yet, Earth's commanders were ready. They had studied the Council's tactics, anticipated their movements, and devised a plan that relied not on numbers, but on strategy, timing, and ingenuity. Commander Lin stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute 2, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the Council fleet approaching. "This is our chance," she said to her officers. "We are outnumbered, yes, but that is where humans shine. We adapt, we think, we act. Remember, Cain, remember why we fight. Humanity will prevail, not by brute force, but by cleverness and courage." The human fleet split into several groups, each with a unique mission. Some acted as decoys, drawing Council ships into carefully planned traps. Others moved through asteroid fields, using gravitational anomalies to hide their approach. AI-controlled drones coordinated attacks with precision, disabling shields, disrupting communications, and sabotaging key systems. Humans were striking at weaknesses, exploiting opportunities, and always thinking 3 steps ahead. The Council fleet, confident in its superiority, advanced with rigid formations. They believed that human tactics were predictable. They were wrong. Humans had learned to anticipate every Council move, using their understanding of alien psychology and fleet behavior to gain the upper hand. The first phase of the battle involved a feint attack. Decoy human fleets drew the Council flagship into a narrow asteroid corridor. Hidden Earth ships, cloaked and undetectable, moved into position. When the Council flagship attempted a sudden hyperspace jump to escape, human engineers activated temporal interference arrays, delaying the jump just long enough to strike with precision energy blasts. Key systems were disabled, forcing the flagship to retreat. The Council fleet, stunned by this clever maneuver, struggled to reorganize. Meanwhile, the main human fleet advanced through another sector, targeting supply lines and repair stations. They used quantum shockwave weapons to disable enemy ships without destroying them, minimizing casualties while maximizing disruption. Human pilots navigated asteroid belts with daring skill, turning natural hazards into strategic advantages. Every move showcased the combination of human courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Back on Earth, news of the battle inspired celebrations and renewed determination. Citizens knew that humanity was not just surviving, it was winning, in a way that demanded respect from the entire galaxy. Engineers and scientists continued to refine technologies, ensuring that human fleets would remain ahead of Council strategies. Humanity's ingenuity had become its most powerful weapon. As the battle continued, smaller alien species that had once been oppressed by the Council began to take notice. Traders, scientists, and planetary leaders who had long suffered under Council rules started providing intelligence and support to humanity. Humans had demonstrated that they fought not for domination, but for justice, survival, and respect. Slowly, a coalition of allies began to form, strengthening humanity's position in the galaxy. The turning point came when the human fleet executed a daring maneuver near the Valor 3 system. Using a combination of decoy ships, gravitational traps, and precise timing, humans encircled a Council task force much larger than their own. The Council attempted to break the encirclement, but human pilots, guided by AI coordination, anticipated every movement. Ships were disabled, communications were disrupted, and key officers were forced to surrender. Humanity had turned an impossible situation into a clear victory. Commander Lin watched the holographic display as Council ships retreated. "This is proof," she said quietly, "that humans are clever, resilient, and united. We do not yield. We do not surrender. We endure, we adapt, and we triumph." Her words echoed across the fleet, reinforcing the courage and pride of every human soldier. The aftermath of the battle was even more significant than the victory itself. The Council was fractured, unable to maintain control over its member species. Allies who had once remained neutral now openly supported humanity, recognizing that humans could inspire change without resorting to domination. Humanity had earned respect, fear, and admiration across the galaxy, not through conquest, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. Back on Earth, leaders convened to discuss the next steps. President Rael addressed the Global Council. "We have proven that humanity can defend itself and its honor. But our mission is not revenge, it is progress. We will build alliances, foster cooperation, and ensure that no species underestimates the value of ingenuity, courage, and unity. Cain's sacrifice has not been in vain. Humanity stands taller today than ever before." Citizens across Earth celebrated, not with weapons, but with knowledge, innovation, and community. New research initiatives were launched. Space programs expanded. Schools taught students not just science and mathematics, but also strategy, creativity, and the importance of standing united in the face of adversity. Humanity's identity as a species had shifted. They were no longer merely observers of the galaxy, they were active participants, leaders, and innovators. The final act of Part 3 took place at the Council's assembly halls. Representatives of various species arrived to negotiate peace and cooperation with Earth. Humans presented clear terms. They would join the galactic community as equals, not subjects, contributing knowledge, trade, and diplomacy while maintaining their sovereignty. The Council, shaken and humbled, agreed. Humanity's courage and cleverness had rewritten the rules of engagement in the galaxy. As humanity signed the treaties, celebrations erupted across allied systems. Humans had achieved a victory that was not measured in destruction, but in respect and recognition. They had shown that strength was not only in weapons, but in intelligence, creativity, courage, and unity. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Underestimate humanity at your peril. Commander Lin returned to Earth orbit aboard the Resolute 2. She looked down at the blue and green planet below. thinking of Cain and every human who had contributed to this victory. "We have faced the impossible," she said, "and we have won. Not because we were the strongest, but because we were clever, courageous, and united. Humanity has proven itself. Cain believed in us, and we have honored that belief." In homes across Earth, people gazed at the stars, inspired by the story of courage and ingenuity. Children dreamed of joining the fleets. Scientists imagined new technologies. Artists painted visions of humanity's future among the stars. Cain's memory became a symbol of human resilience, courage, and innovation. Inspiring generations to come, the galaxy, once confident in the Council's unquestioned authority, now looked at humanity with a mixture of admiration, respect, and caution. Humans had not conquered by force, they had conquered by showing their value, creativity, and unyielding spirit. The story of Earth's rise spread from system to system, inspiring others to believe that cleverness, courage, and unity could overcome any obstacle. In the final moments of Part 3, Commander Lin watched a new fleet depart Earth's orbit. Ships of every size, shape, and function moved toward the stars, ready for exploration, diplomacy, and defense. Humanity had claimed its place in the galaxy, not by domination, but by proving that a united species could overcome even the greatest of challenges. Above all, the lesson was clear: never underestimate humanity. The galaxy had witnessed the strength, courage, and ingenuity of a species that refused to bow, refused to yield, and refused to be defined by others. Humanity had faced annihilation, adapted, and triumphed. The stars were no longer distant. They were a stage for a human story of brilliance, unity, and hope. As Earth continued to rise among the stars, one truth remained undeniable: humanity had arrived, and it would never be forgotten.